big deal, and we've just confirmed this at Fox News. We have a copy of the letter. I have it right here from James Comey, the FBI director, sending this to Congress, that the criminal investigation of Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, is back on. What is key here is that he is saying in the letter to top chairman and chairwoman on Capitol Hill, quote, in connection with an unrelated case, the FBI has learned of the existence of emails that appear to be pertinent to the investigation. This is James Comey at the FBI. I am writing to inform you that the investigative team briefed me on this yesterday, and I agreed the FBI should take appropriate investigative steps designed to allow investigators to review these emails to determine whether they contain classified information, as well as to assess their importance to our investigation. Although the FBI cannot yet assess whether or not this material may be significant, and I cannot predict how long it will take us to complete this additional work, I believe it is important to update your committees about our efforts in light of my previous testimony. A couple of things going on here. Obviously, number one, James Comey may be trying to cover his back a bit here. He is under intense pressure from various members of Congress, people in the public saying, what in the world happened with this investigation, as more and more emails and questions spill out, number one. Number two, what is the fallout for Hillary Clinton? I mean, when James Comey, the director of the FBI, says, I don't know how long this will take to clear all of this up, does that mean it's going to be done in a week and there'll be good news for Hillary Clinton, or bad news 3 days or so before the election? Or will he hold this over past the election as they go through this? If Hillary Clinton is then elected president, I use the word if, she would immediately be under a cloud yet again as president-elect. If she were to lose the election, I use the word if, let's be clear, you would undoubtedly have Clinton supporters saying this is dirty pool and that the FBI came in the final weeks of the campaign. This is exactly what James Comey was trying to avoid months and months ago, saying he was working on his own calendar, he was not paying attention to the election calendar, and yet here we are. A lot of questions for James Comey about why criminal charges against Hillary Clinton were not filed after that incredible public statement he made a couple months back, you'll remember, suggesting there were all kinds of problems and misstatements and whatnot, and then said, but we're not going to bring charges. Now he's saying we've gotten the existence of new emails that appear to be pertinent to our investigation. Let's remember, as a criminal investigation, Jenna, and this is probably the worst possible news for the Clinton campaign, under 2 weeks before Election Day, Jenna.
Ed, you've asked Mrs. Clinton specifically about her use of a private server. And one of the things that the Clinton camp had said repeatedly during the time that the FBI investigation was ongoing is that the candidate herself was not under investigation. And it was a matter of semantics.
Yes.
So based on the news as it breaks now, are we in a period where a candidate for president is under investigation now by the FBI?
Yeah, it's hard to read it any other way. I mean, I think you're absolutely right to caution that James Comey is saying, maybe a key line here in fairness to Secretary Clinton, quote, although the FBI cannot yet assess whether or not this material may be significant, and I cannot predict how long, we're looking at it. The bottom line is, as Jason Chaffetz first disclosed, Republican on Capitol Hill, this investigation is back on in some form. And I was smiling as you were talking about how they said, the Clinton campaign, oh, she wasn't under investigation. Let's be clear about the facts. You're absolutely right to point to that. The Clinton campaign told us for the longest time in 2015, this is just a security review by the FBI. It is not, they kept pushing back on us. It's not a criminal investigation. This was a criminal investigation. Let's use facts. And the fact that James Comey came out and said, I decided not to pursue back then criminal charges meant it was a criminal investigation with potential, I underline the word potential, criminal charges. He decided not to do that over the summer and into the fall. Now, 11 days before the election, he's saying, hold on, folks. We are reopening this. We are taking another look at it. And obviously, we're all now going to try to figure out what is the existence of emails that appear to be pertinent to the investigation. We've been digging through, as you know, all of these WikiLeaks documents. Has there been new information there that raises eyebrows and questions about the Clinton camp and their handling of the email scandal? Certainly. But I have not seen in the WikiLeaks digging new emails that show there's classified information that they didn't disclose previously. But he specifically talks about that. Director Comey, I agree that the FBI should take appropriate investigative steps designed to allow investigators to review these new emails to determine whether they contain classified information. I think it's also that word, whether they contain classified information, as well as assess their importance. So my point is, did someone else come forward, a whistleblower or someone, and say, wait a second, either within the FBI or somewhere else, we found some more emails? Did they talk to the IT company out in Colorado? Because I don't know that this is necessarily related to WikiLeaks, which we've been talking a lot about. But look, what we do know, Jenna, is there is intense frustration. And we've been hearing this all over Washington, some of it whispered, some of it spilled out in the open. Intense frustration within James Comey's agency about what's going on there and why he didn't pursue charges. So did somebody come forward?
And so let's be clear about that, because we're talking so much about WikiLeaks, we don't know the source of this, this specific part that James Comey is referencing. And I think it's only worth it to underscore to our viewers. John's with us. We're also going to have another guest with us in just a moment. The timing of this and the pressure that the FBI is under to issue a letter like this, just a little over 10 days before Election Day, one would have to think, Ed, that there's something very specific that moved them to do so. Otherwise, if it was a gray area to go out on a limb and do this, it would. I can't imagine that.
You're absolutely right. And pardon me, because I'm looking down at my email to see if we're getting any more on that. And we really only have the letter from James Comey to Congress. So I want to be absolutely transparent with our viewers that that's all we know right now. And we're obviously digging for more. But look, I mean, there's another element to this in terms of the politics, but also investigatively outside of politics. Think about what happened last week, this revelation by the Wall Street Journal that Terry McAuliffe, the governor of Virginia, who himself is under separate FBI investigation at this moment, by the way, helped raise money for the spouse of a high-ranking FBI official. And that spouse ended up not winning the political race in Virginia, but it was well over $400,000 raised, and that has just raised more questions outside and inside the FBI about what has been happening, because Terry McAuliffe, as you know, is the governor of Virginia, is one of the closest friends of both Bill and Hillary Clinton. We have no evidence that the Clintons directed that, but this is just adding to the intrigue and the questions about whether there's conflicts of interest here and what in the world happened. So I want to answer your question directly about why would James Comey do this so close to the election. Well, look, he is under intense pressure right now, and he went into this criminal investigation of Hillary Clinton, and let's call it that because that's what it is, as seen as this white knight in Washington that Democrats and Republicans said is tough, stands his ground, will follow the facts. And after what's happened between what I just mentioned about Terry McAuliffe, what happened with not pursuing charges despite evidence suggesting maybe there should have been charges, James Comey is under intense pressure, has been criticized within his own building at the FBI. And for him to act now, there's going to be a lot of hue and cry, I anticipate, from Democrats saying you are giving in to pressure and you are going to improperly influence the selection. You can bet